Hey guys, it's Daniela. Welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 13-inch MacBook Pro that came out in 2020, so last year. Here is the laptop. I got it in silver and I've had this laptop for about 6 months now. I think I got it at the end of June. I have another video on my channel where I review this laptop after having it for a month and I compare it a lot to my old laptop, which was a MacBook Air 2015. So if you want to check out that video for specifics on how it compares to an older version of a MacBook, specifically a MacBook Air, I would definitely check out that video because it has a lot of good insights. That video also does a really good job explaining what I like and dislike immediately in the new laptop. So if you want to check it out, I'll link it up here and down below. Anyways, let's get into the 6-month update of whether or not the MacBook Pro 13-inch 2020 laptop is worth it or not. So there's no particular order. I'm just going to be talking about what I like and dislike. Timestamps will be down below if you want to click through the video and see specific things about the laptop and see what I talk about. Let's get into it. The battery life on this laptop is actually very good. Usually, I use this laptop a lot for editing. I can be on this laptop editing for a good 4 hours, maybe even 5 hours, depending on how much footage I'm going through and how big my edits are, and it could last me that long before I have to charge it again. So it could be at 100% and I just use it purely for editing and I will have to recharge it within like 4 to 5 hours. I just want to note that because if you do have a big program running, which I mean, not everyone is going to get the MacBook Pro to edit on, there could be other softwares that you use. So again, if you're just running a really big program consistently and you're using it the entire time, your laptop might die a little faster. When I'm not editing though, my laptop does last a really long time. I could go a day without having to recharge it again if I'm just kind of using it throughout the day to do web searches or watch YouTube videos or go on Facebook or watch some Netflix. So the battery life is actually very good, which we like that. The charging time I think is actually really good too. It takes, I believe, an hour or two to charge depending if you're using it or not. So when I'm using the laptop and I'm charging it, it could take a little bit longer depending on what I'm on. So if I'm just kind of watching videos and I'm not really actively on it, it won't take that long. So max maybe 2 hours, but if I'm just leaving the laptop and I'm not using it while it's charging, it could take about an hour. And honestly, I think that's really good, especially if the laptop is basically on the verge of dying. That's really good. So the charging time I would say is about 1 to 2 hours depending on whether you're on it consistently or not. So we like that. The only thing I will say that I really dislike about the charging cable, which I said this in my other video, was I really miss the little light that the charger would have on it. I talk about this in my other video, but when you plug in your laptop to start charging it, the little light on the old MacBook Air charger would turn red, and then once it was done charging, it would turn green. This laptop now does not have a little light, which is really annoying because you never know when your laptop is done charging. You have to open up the laptop to see if it's at 100% or not. So I wish that Apple did incorporate that little light again, but it's not a huge deal. I just personally miss it since I used to have that feature in my MacBook Air 2015. But other than that, I do think that the charging time on this laptop is really good. So it's not a huge complaint. I just liked having the little light if I wasn't on my laptop while it was charging. And another feature that I do miss about the charger is the fact that the charging cables on older MacBooks, they used to attach to each other magnetically versus now you actually have to plug it in. But again, I mean, I'm not gonna complain because it charges pretty fast. So it's not a huge deal, but I do just miss that feature. The trackpad is actually significantly larger than older MacBook versions. The trackpad is pretty nice because it's bigger and it gives you a wider range of motion on what you want to do, or if you want to select multiple things and the list is long. The only thing I will say, it doesn't happen very often, but sometimes when I'm typing, I can accidentally brush my hand over it and I'll tap onto something else. It doesn't happen very often, but it's something that I've noticed a little bit. So just keep that in mind, but it's not a huge deal because again, it does not happen very often. The Touch ID. Oh my gosh, I love that feature so much. I use it all the time. I basically never input my password into anything anymore because I use my fingerprint. You can actually input up to 3 fingerprints into your laptop. On Safari specifically, when you input your password to things, you can set it so that it automatically uses your fingerprint instead of just typing your password every time. The only downside is if you use, for example, Google Chrome, you can't use the Touch ID feature to input a password. That kind of sucks, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. But other than than that, having the Touch ID is really nice, especially if you forget your password to something. The only thing that does get a little bit frustrating is sometimes if you have not used your laptop for a while, or if you haven't manually input your password to unlock your laptop will tell you to input the password manually so that you can activate Touch ID again. But I mean, that's not a huge deal. That happens on your phone too when your Face ID stops working. So another thing that I do want to note about the Touch ID is I used to think that you couldn't press down on it because it's just a Touch ID, so you just place your finger on it. You don't need to press down and your laptop will open or input the password that you want to put in. However, it is a button, so if, let's just say your laptop is frozen or it won't turn on, if you push down on the Touch ID button, it's like the on and off button too, so you can turn it on through there. I had no idea, and that took me about a good month or two to realize that it was an actual key. So just letting you know, it does work as an on or off button as well. So the speakers on this laptop are awesome. I'm actually very impressed. I could have the volume on really low and the speakers make it sound like I have the volume on like medium or high sometimes, which is crazy. So I don't really need to have the volume on that loud for my laptop to be able to hear it. If you listen to music and you have it on really loud, it almost sounds like you have a little portable speaker with you. If you want better speakers for your laptop, definitely upgrade to this. It's also nice because you have the speakers on the side of your laptop. I think some people would be concerned of you getting things on the speakers, but honestly, I've never had an issue before with it, so. Overall, with the size and the weight of this laptop, I think it's a really good weight. It's a little bit heavy, but nothing crazy, and it's very easy and portable. So again, it's a 13-inch laptop, which is what I used to have for my MacBook Air, and I've brought it with me to like coffee shops before, and I can just easily fit it into my purse. So there's no complaints there. It is a little bit heavier than a MacBook Air, but I don't really notice the difference that much anymore, so it's totally fine with me, especially because it comes with really cool features. Honestly, I don't really use the touch bar as much as I thought I was going to when I first got the laptop. So yes, the touch bar is customizable. You can put whatever you want on it and you can edit it, and when you open up certain apps, you can customize it to those apps. So in Safari, if you open it, you can see your favorites tab, and then if you open up a new tab and search something, the search bar will appear on the touch bar. You can open up new web pages from the touch bar. If you're typing out messages, you can open up a new message tab on the messages app. So there's a bunch of things that you can do with the touch bar. However, I don't really use it as much as I thought. The only keys that I really use the touch bar for are the volume buttons, the display brightness buttons, and then sometimes when I'm writing messages, I will use it to find emojis because there is a little emoji key there. And sometimes when I'm on FaceTime, I'll use the end button there to end the call. But other than that, I don't really use it for anything else. Sometimes when I'm editing, I'll use the touch bar a little bit, but again, it's nothing crazy. If I had to get a new laptop and it didn't have the touch bar, I might miss it a little bit, but it wouldn't be a huge deal to me because again, I don't use it as often as I thought I would. So if you're trying to get a new laptop just for the touch bar, I definitely don't think it's worth it. Overall, the visual display of this laptop is really clean and crisp. I think it looks a lot better than older versions of MacBooks, obviously. And again, I am like thinking back to my MacBook Air that I used to have, but I think the colors pop a lot more on this laptop. The screen looks a lot cleaner. The colors look more vibrant. I just really love the feel of it. So definitely awesome visual display as well. In terms of you using this laptop for bigger softwares, such as, again, I use it for Final Cut Pro, but if you're using it for, I don't know, like Photoshop or Adobe Premiere or Logic Pro or other big programs that you want to download to it, I definitely think this laptop is really good at handling these programs. So specifically, again, I'm going to be talking about my experience with Final Cut Pro and editing. I definitely think it handles it really well. The fans do not turn on as often as I thought they would be. The only time when they do start to be loud is when I'm exporting a file from Final Cut Pro onto my desktop, or I am editing for a really long period of time and the video has to process and render in the background. And if I have several edits, and I mean several edits, the fans will start to go off a little bit, but it immediately starts to cool down, so it's not a huge deal. Also, I do want to talk about the export time. The export time with editing is cut down so much, especially with the Big Sur update. I thought it was going to take a lot longer. Before it used to be an hour, and now it could take up to maybe even 15 minutes, which is honestly really, really good considering that video files can be huge. So definitely really good at handling big programs, and it's really good at handling big programs and also having other things running in the background. So I could have my Final Cut Pro open and then be on the web watching a video, and then having my messages open, and then having another document open. Just having multiple tabs open, it's really good at handling all of the apps open at once. So never really had an issue with that. If you want to upgrade for your laptop to sustain bigger programs, I definitely recommend. I think it's really good. And again, the fans do not go off as easily like the MacBook Air would, so definitely worth it. It's only happened about 3 times. I don't really know why. It's been random too, and it usually happens when I've been editing for hours and hours. That is annoying, but I feel like that happens with every laptop, so it's fine. And especially if that's only happened within 6 months, it's only crashed 3 times. I really have no complaints because everything else seems to work fine, and once it reboots, I don't have an issue. So I just did want to point that out though, because I know that's important when you're getting a new laptop. Overall, I really do like this laptop. I think after using it for 6 months, it's working perfectly fine. I don't have any real issues with it. The softwares that I've been using, again, such as Final Cut Pro, work really well with it, as well as using other softwares that the laptop comes with, or if you're just using regular browsing apps. Everything's been working great. No complaints there. There's no signs of the laptop really running itself down or becoming less quality. The battery life, I think, is still really good after using it for 6 months consistently. Again, I mainly use it for editing, and I feel like it works great with my Final Cut Pro software. There's no real issues there. Battery is still in really good health, I think. Downloading things as well has been really fast. I think the download time of videos or downloading pictures onto your phone is super fast, and there's no real issues there. And overall, my laptop is in really good condition. And I mean, as you can see, I don't even have a case for it, so the only thing I will say too about this laptop that I did get in addition to it was I got an adapter for the sides because it doesn't come with a USB port or an SD card insert or anything like that. So I did get an attachment for my laptop that I can link down below. I think it cost me about $20 on Amazon, and it's been really worth it, and it works so well. I do love this laptop. I do not regret buying it at all. There are, again, a few little things that I do miss about older versions of MacBook Pros, but overall, I do really love this laptop. Who would I recommend this to? If you are looking for a higher speed laptop that can handle a lot more programs, especially bigger programs to run, I definitely suggest that you get this laptop. I think it works really well. I love the size of it. It charges pretty fast. It has a really good battery life for using it consistently, and it does a really good job of making sure that all programs are running at the same time if you have multiple things open, so that's great. However, if you are just someone that likes to browse around the internet, watch some videos, or are a student who just uses it to type essays and do Zoom meetings, I wouldn't really recommend this laptop just because it is a little bit expensive. My MacBook Air was totally fine when I had mine, so I would definitely suggest that you stick with a MacBook Air. If you're looking at this laptop to just get it for the touch bar, I definitely do not think it's worth it. I barely use it as is, and I don't really think I'd be using it more later on just because, again, I'm not really used to it, and I only really use it for the volume and the brightness. So just trying to be honest with you, it's not really worth it. I think if they took away the touch bar and put the keys back on, I think I'd miss it a little bit, but I really wouldn't care that much. So I hope this video was informative in helping you decide what laptop you want. If you have any other questions that I can answer, please comment down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you in my next one. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, especially if this video helped you out and if you'd like to see more content like this, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!